Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday, and what that means at the sanctuary, Tuesday is Vet Day. And we have Judson and Kelly in here demonstrating how the viewing room's gonna work. Exactly. Right now, we don't have the TVs and the closed circuit cameras up. That's only because there's a vendor supply chain issue and we can't get anybody to get out here and get all the AV in, but that doesn't stop us from kind of observing today. And what's nice about the observation suite is that we can still do our work as they're doing their work. We always keep somebody like the operations director or me in the viewing room at a given time, because if something were to go wrong, safety, our safety protocol is that even though we're in a separate room, we would want to get out. We want to be able to respond in any way. And so the viewing room is a safe way to do that. We also have curtains that can close, so if the vet team needs privacy for any reason. But as you can see, we right now, we'll be going in the room, but right now we have Lavani, the cheetah, in the hospital for a wellness exam, but more than a wellness exam, these boys are getting older and we want to make sure we know what their kidney values are. They obviously came to us with GI issues, which means inflammatory bowel disease. So we're going to ultrasound their bellies today. And they have a record of limping in their back end, which can kind of be very normal for a geriatric cat. But we want to make sure there isn't a foreign body or a nail issue and that it's just kind of ongoing arthritis, and then determine the best pain management program for that. So they're going to intubate because doing radiographs and ultrasound will take a little longer today, and we want to make sure he's not waking up from his injectable medications. But once they get him intubated and everything, we will go in and give you a closer look. But right now you are in the new veterinary observation suite here. So if you just joined us, we're the Wildcat Sanctuary in Sandstone, Minnesota. And as you know, they're going to turn him so that they can get the intubation tube in. As you know, there is so much that goes into rescuing big cats. It might be simple that all we do is go pick up a tiger or cheetah in need and bring them back to the sanctuary. But honestly, there is so much more behind the scenes that goes on. Customizing their habitat, because these guys are geriatric, making sure they have winter and summer areas that are species appropriate. These guys have a special diet. They're on AAA, a commercial diet, due to their IBD. And then we also have the preventative vet care program, as well as when we see a cat limping or something like that, or a change in them, we also have our reactive vet program where we want to see them, make sure they're okay, find out what's going on, as you saw with Caesar the tiger, who went in for a CT scan. Today we're able to do this exam just on site in the new veterinary hospital. So they were able to sedate him in his crate down in his room. He was crate trained, bring him up to rescue bay, and then bring him into the hospital. So we can see how much room we still have with the crate out in the rescue bay area, which is heated, temperature controlled, and a place he'll recover before he goes back to his room. So cheetahs can be sensitive to anesthesia, and so we really look at the type of drugs we give. So it's not just always across the board the same for each species of cat. A cat is not just a cat, is not just a cat. Each species has unique things, and we definitely want to make sure that we research all that. We ensure that we're doing what's safest for each species of cat, and as well as each individual cat, whether they're geriatric, whether they've had issues with anesthesia before. There's so much thought that goes into this. So what I also want to say is thank you, because your donations made this hospital possible. Your donations make it possible for us to take in a new resident. And we are in our halfway point of our Miracle Match program. And that means it is a great time to give. Your donations will be doubled. $10 becomes $20, $20 becomes 40 as I'm doing math. Thank you. As I'm watching the cats. Live posts, Judson, I have to give him a really kudos because when I'm watching to make sure I understand what they're doing with the cat, because that's where my heart is and my expertise is, trying to talk to you guys the same time, I am watching them very specifically for any movements and things like that. It can be a little challenging. So once they have him on isoflurane and he's intubated, we'll be going in. That's when it's safest. So our vet is already on the table checking out his back, feet, and legs. And we also have caretakers still radioing because they are out working and caring for over 130 residents we have. So we'll be going in the room. So we have key card access so that nobody can enter this room while they are doing the procedure unless we are pre-approved. So that's another part of our safety program here today. We also cross-train all of our staff. Obviously, we can't cross-train to be a vet or a vet tech, but we can cross-train to be a support during vet procedures. And so, as you know, Elise, as a caretaker, has always helped doing kind of monitoring a little bit, as well as the crate training, immobilization, and she's really the safety officer of the day. And Alyssa, who's been with us quite a long time, is also training, cross-training, so that we have multiple people knowing how to do these things, so that we have multiple resources to always do what's best for the animal. So if you're just joining us, we are the Wildcat Sanctuary in Sandstone, Minnesota. We actually have Cheetah Lavani in the hospital for a veterinary examination today. These are geriatric boys, and we are wanting to make sure that we get a baseline of their kidney values, since that is something we see with older age. And then also we're going to be doing radiographs on their legs and joints to see if there's arthritis or if that limping might be something due to more like a nail issue. And then on top of that, we'll be doing ultrasounds on the belly due to their inflammatory bowel disease, which cheetahs are really known for because they internalize their stress quite a bit. So who's joining us today, and do we have any sponsor parents online of Mr. Lavani the cheetah? So I'm trying to read the comments. I should have put my readers on. I'm getting older, and the small text on these iPhones. Judson's going to have to get me an iPad to do live posts so that the text is larger. So you can see we have monitoring equipment on the animal at all times. We have a tech monitoring them, as well as our CVT and our veterinarian. They're drawing some blood so that we can start running in-house chemistry. So cheetahs are definitely what I would say almost not even cat-like. They're more prehistoric. As you know, the cheetah is the fastest land mammal, but not when they're older and in captivity. They also are the only cat that does not have fully retractable claws. And that is, since you have gloves on, Abby, can you show us the claws? Since that is important for them for traction, for speed and rounding those corners, they won't retract like the other other wild cats. And domestic cats also have retractable claws, so this is very different. They have a long tail that acts as a rudder when they're running in speed to be able to turn those swift corners and things like that. And then they have those tear marks down their eyes that help with sun issues in Africa. Now in captivity, cheetahs are part of the species survival breeding program in hopes to repopulate the wild population. Unfortunately, we know that most big cats born in captivity have not been able to be released back into the wild. Something definitely everybody's concerned about, because we do not want to see these species and the tiger species diminish completely from our planet. So cheetahs are much bigger than people think. Elise, how much did he weigh today?
129.
He weighed 129 pounds. Most times veterinaries weigh in kilograms, but so that you don't have to do the conversion, we let you know in pounds. So 129 pounds, he's very tall, very long. I think people underestimate the size of cheetahs and the power that they have. Cheetahs are also known to smack. So similar to servals, they'll use those front paws a lot to do damage when they're nervous or when they feel pressure. So if you just joined us, we're the Wildcat Sanctuary in Sandstone, Minnesota. We do not buy, breed, trade, or sell animals. We simply provide a home for life. Most of the cats we take in are from the private sector that have sadly been tried to kept as pets, or from seizures from authorities who have due to malnutrition, illegal trafficking, things like that. Luckily, this boy here has not had a life like that. He was a cheetah in an AZA accredited facility along with his brother, and was retired from the SSP breeding program due to age. Now, usually we don't have space for cats like that because we want to always be open for rescues, but for a while, we had open enclosures for several years. And so it was the right time to be able to help more cats without having to say no to any rescues. So that's how we really look at this, is we do not want placements of retired cats to take up space for those in dire need. And that's how we assess when we can take in cats from retired SSP or AZA zoos. So again, we want to just reiterate that, you take your cat to the vet, you know how expensive that can be. And after the vet care, you have medications and things to give, especially if they're geriatric or they need kidney support or pain management. Our vet care here is extremely expensive. The vet equipment we have is expensive, and we always are needing more supplies and more equipment. We'd love to have a scope one day and things like that. And so when you give to Miracle Match, you allow us to do so many things for the cats. Not only just their habitats, their food, but also vet procedures, vet supplies, vet equipment that continues us to just increase our capability of what we can do on site for cats like Lavani here. So another wonderful thing to announce is that our vet team is growing. Not only do we still have Dr. Camper, 4 of our volunteer vet techs, and hospital manager Joy, we are adding a full-time vet to our department starting in the next month. We interviewed vets from across the country and even out of the country to find the right fit. And that is always part of our goal of elevating and continuing to elevate the care we give for the animals. We strive and increase our animal care standards every year. Anytime we find a new innovation, a new piece of equipment, more talent and more staff, we want to bring them here to the sanctuary because we want to continue to be the best for the animals, and your donations allow us to do that. So if you could give at the live post today, you are going to have your donation matched. $25 becomes $50, $50 becomes $100, $100 becomes $200. Just to run blood work for one test can be $200. Doing an exam like this, even in-house, is about $1,500 with the immobilization drugs, all the chemistry we send out, and if we're doing vaccines. So it is expensive to knock down and do the work that we have. We also have a dental machine being rolled over in case there's tartar or something that needs to be taken care of. They're measuring for radiographs right now. And again, you can see those claws that are not retractable. So he will get a nail trim today as well. You can see that long tail. So Lavani is intubated. Kitu will be seen later today. We'll be doing a wellness exam, especially since they're geriatric, but more importantly, kind of doing ultrasound on their GI tract to see how their IBD's doing, as well as doing radiographs on their spine, hips, knees, and feet. Based on both of them have had notes of limping. Their vet files from the zoo they came from showed that they also have had some limping. So we think it's probably just a kind of arthritic change, but we're going to take the time to get as much information as possible why he's down on the table today. So thank you for joining us today. They're just discussing what imagery they want today. So I'll take you out to Rescue Bay as well and show you what's so nice about the new hospital you help fund is that the recovery crate can be out here. It does not have to be in the hospital impeding us going around or anything like that. We also have another resident. Welcome. There, we'll see. Sorry, we tried to reconnect. Our internet went out.
That's still reconnecting?
It came back.
Okay.
So right now they're playing with the catheter that's in his leg. A catheter allows us to get intravenous access for anything we need. If there was emergency drugs, if it's to give him subcutaneous fluids to keep him hydrated while he's anesthetized. Is there any specific questions you guys have that I can answer for you today? Please put them here. I'll go back to the comments and respond to them if I can, if I can't read them on site. So right now the table is not elevated because they're going to be doing x-rays, and this machine weighs about 75 pounds. So it's much easier for them to stand and lift it above him than it will be for the table to be high and then try and get above him just with the arms and not by standing on the table. So I just commented about how low the table is, so you can read that. The green box next to his tail is what takes the x-ray, and that is what is so heavy and why the table's low. You'll see as they do x-rays. And I apologize if there's a spammer on asking for a friend request. Whenever we do live posts, it's amazing how spammers come on and ask for friend requests. So you don't need to accept any friend requests that are in the comments. That's a Facebook thing. So what they do is they get all the measurements, they set the plates before they put their x-ray PPE on. That's just because it's really hard to maneuver with those lead jackets and aprons. And so to get everything ready before the PPE goes on is much easier. Oops, sorry, you did not need to see me. So we always keep a person with a sedated cat, even though there's a lot of us in the hospital. We always keep a person right by the cat for monitoring. Right now he's intubated, but you always worry that a cat could get light under anesthesia too. And you always check the palpebral reflexes, jaw tone, and things like that to make sure that they're staying asleep like they should be. And then you have the other issue of just with humans, people can go too deep and their blood pressure can drop, heart can drop. So anesthesia is safe in most cases, but it's still very critical to monitor closely. So if you're just joining us, we'll probably be signing off soon too, but we wanted to show you and bring you into the vet hospital on a wellness exam with Cheetah Lavani. It is during our Miracle Match program where your donations make preventative care possible, deworming possible, vaccinations, and obviously geriatric wellness possible. So thank you for everybody that's donated. We always try to raise at least $250 on live posts to get us to $500 for the match. You can see Abby's here looking at the monitoring equipment, looking at his breathing, checking everything. Why the veterinarian gets the dental machine ready. Probably, I would assume, to remove some tartar. So thanks everybody who tuned in to see this live post today. We will be sharing his brother Kitu later today. And we will keep you posted on anything we find on the wellness exam. We should have results by end of day. We aren't expecting anything really negative. Expect some, geriatric changes of arthritis that we can control with oral pain medication after. And again, thank you for being part of our extended rescue team. We're going to kind of step out as they put him in the trough for x-rays and things like that and wear PPE. So part of our protocol is we need to step out because of the x-ray radiation. So we'll give you an update later today. Thanks for joining us. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our second patient of the day here at the Wildcat Sanctuary's Vet Hospital. We have Cheetah brother Kitu on the table today. He's the most dominant of the brothers, and that is actually why we chose to see Lavani first today, because if we knew if Lavani was awake and his brother left, that might be a little stressful for him. So we made the decision to make sure that Lavani was seen first, and while he was recovering, his brother Kitu would be seen by the vet. As you know, both of them are being seen for wellness checks, but a little bit more than that because they are geriatric and they had high liver values upon intake. We wanted to recheck kidney and liver values. They both looked good on Lavani, which is great. And we're doing x-rays for arthritic changes, especially in their feet, because Kitu here has had a little lameness in his right rear foot. So the good news is that Lavani was seen this morning. The blood work was run in-house. His kidney and liver values looked good for a cat his age. His radiographs looked pretty good. Just normal arthritic changes, so that is great news. And now we've moved on to Kitu. And the good news is these boys will be together by late tonight. As we talked about in our original post, his little body's moving. Skinny body does not want to stay in position without support from the veterinary staff. So we've intubated both of these boys, which we don't always have to do during wellness exams that are short, but since we're doing x-rays and ultrasounds, definitely we want them intubated because they'll be down for a longer time. We can also give them oxygen if needed. I'm going to take a step back here if we're doing radiographs based on our PPE protocol. And so if you guys, we talked about the viewing room. You can see the viewing room over here. Caretakers are allowed to watch the procedures
safely from the viewing room so that they can see that the cats they care for, what's going on in real time. And so many times, you guys see it before they do because you're watching a live post while they're out caring for other animals. And so I think this is kind of the first opportunity that we're kind of doing an impromptu visit in the viewing room, which the viewing room will also be more formalized for scheduled vet tech training as well as our animal care intern training. So everybody asked before why the table is lower. Well, honestly, Dr. Camper's doing a great demonstration. It is much easier to get on and near the cat and place the x-ray equipment as well as the plate because that x-ray camera, what do you call that, Elise? It's not an x-ray.
Was on the counter, this?
Yes. The x-ray weighs about 75 pounds. And so for Elise to just try hold it up versus be able to stand on the table, this is the best position.
And you'll go over where she is. Lift that first page.
So we've got a large team in the hospital today because we're also cross-training. So cross-training is an important part so that we have multiple people knowing different roles in the hospital at all times to be able to assist the vets. So today might take a little longer for that, but it's an important part of what we do. I'm going to take a step back. I'm going to step back over here. So we were talking a little bit about some updates on other cats. As you know, Callie, the tiger, we've been watching on Quality of Life. She's been improving again. And so she'll probably move down to Woodlands. Teresa, our animal care manager, has a lot of scheduled moves coming up so that we have the right cats in the right habitat for their needs, whether they're aging or whether they want to be more social, or a cat that wants to be less social as they get older. There's always things going on. So we're staying back now because of obviously the x-ray. We have protocol. We're taking temperature there. Luckily his tail's in the way, but not glamorous job, but so extremely important. So their tails are not as long as leopards or cougars who use it for really long jumps. These guys use their tail for a rudder for speed to be able to turn really quickly left and right. And so as you guys know, we talked about It's Miracle Match, and we always want to talk about Miracle Match because the work we do is not possible without support like all of you give. We never hold vet care rescues or anybody ransom. We always want to keep all of our operating budgets and funds full so that we can continue to do this work. So you won't really see emergency appeals from us. That's why giving to programs like Miracle Match is so important, that we're always ahead of the game because we have rescues, medical needs, and we have also sometimes up to 20 or longer years of life to care for each animal. So if you give $10, it becomes 20, 25 becomes 50, 50 becomes 100. It is great that you guys give and continue to give in so many ways. And so thank you for making Miracle Match such an important program. We are really kind of just on par with last year, and we're really hoping to get ahead of last year because we have much higher expenses, especially with this new building and the operating cost of this building and the new operating cost of the new cooler going in for the cat food as well as the prep room remodel. So, and you notice today that we brought them to the hospital. Not always do we bring animals to the hospital if it's just a wellness exam, because it might be easier to do it in their room where it's familiar for them and to wake up there, and it's only 25-minute procedure. But again, since we're doing a more thorough exam based on their age and based on their history of medical conditions, we wanted to bring them here so that we could do the ultrasound, radiographs, have the isoflurane machine if needed, and all of that. So while they're setting things up there and getting blood draws, Elise is doing another nail trim. And you can see Kitu, one other way that he looks very different is his ruff on the back of his neck is way more prominent. I think he's got a little hyena mixed in there as a joke, but no, he is beautiful. He also is the one that you'll know when awake, has the snaggle tooth. And he also is the dominant. So a lot of people think Lavani is more social, but really Lavani really looks to his brother for his confidence. And so Lavani will come up as soon as Kitu tells him it's okay to do that. But they're both really well acclimated to their caregivers and to life in captivity. We sure wish cats like this could live free and not have to be in captivity, but we're very thankful that while they are in captivity, they can receive compassionate care and everything they need to live a fulfilling life. He's getting a little groom. So Caesar was not in our hospital here last week. Caesar was brought to the Animal Emergency Referral Center because he needed a CT scan. So a CT scan has to be done off-site. It is equipment that most, even zoos and larger facilities, don't have because of how expensive and also the specialized technicians needed for CT. So that type of thing, we can't do at our facility. We probably will never be able to do at our facility, but there's a lot we can do here, and that includes dentals, anesthesia, x-rays, blood work, ultrasound, and we're hoping to add a scope and continue to add more equipment here at the sanctuary. So people are talking about cheetahs being more trainable. There is really some divisive, I should say, and controversial opinions on ambassador programs for animals. Here at the sanctuary, we do not do any free contact. We want to make sure the animals get to be the animals, and we can bring educational opportunities like this without having to handle the animals or having the public handle the animals. That can sometimes give a false notion that these guys are tactile or pet-like, when in no way are they. Sadly, the Columbus Zoo had an ambassador program, and an individual was attacked by the cheetah there. There's been cheetah attacks on people working at conservation centers in Africa with captive cheetahs. And so we don't ever want to put the animal in a position where they have to lash out or show their wild instincts because they're fearful or startled or anything like that. So our protocol here is different at the sanctuary. These guys have done their role in the species survival program and now deserve just a great retirement place to finally relax after working so hard to help conserve their species. So if you just joined us, we are doing a medical exam on Kitu, the cheetah. Now these guys arrived about a year ago, April, actually during Miracle Match last year. They came with extensive vet records, which was so helpful, and their caretakers were so helpful, sharing with us the IBS issues they've had, kind of their limping. So when we get full veterinary workups from places like this, when they've been in the SSP program, it is so helpful for our care. That's very different than we go rescue from a backyard or even a substandard facility where the records are usually not even there. Some have been falsified. You know, we can't trust the ages. This is a very different situation and one we're very grateful for. So you can see all the caretakers being able to see the cheetah they love going through a veterinary exam. All of our caretakers end up rotating in on vet days, just like Alyssa has here, so that they are learning how to help during a vet visit and mobilization, because obviously our caretakers play a huge role in crating, immobilizing, and rescuing our cats. So I know it's nice to hear that how informational this has been. I will tell you, vet days and rescues are probably the most stressful parts of our job because, you know, we are in complete control of the animal's life during vet care, and we do know that there is risks along with vet care, but the pros outweigh the cons. During rescues, it's so stressful because it feels the opposite. We don't have complete control. The facility we're picking up from, you know, especially if it's a true rescue, like we did with Tiger King cats or even the Colorado case, where the habitats are not structurally sound, there isn't proper shift areas, we don't know the behavior and temperament of the animals and things like that. So the best days we have is when you get to go on those sanctuary strolls with Judson, somewhere in between the rescue day, the vet days, and sadly when we have to say goodbye to an animal. Getting to see them enjoy life here at the sanctuary and all that you've helped provide. So Joy is over here monitoring him, watching everything to make sure he's doing well under anesthesia, but also making sure he's not too light at any given time and waking up to say hello. I know people have asked, have we had emergencies like that? Well, this is why we have the full team we do, to keep a close eye on everything to minimize any risk of something like that ever happening. Excuse me, I have to walk away because they're going to take an x-ray based on our protocol. So we're all stepping back from the table. So right now they're taking x-rays of the back legs. And so he was having some limping issues on his back right. And so what we want to determine is that arthritic changes, or does he have something wrong with the nail? Because sometimes cheetah's nails can get snagged. Maybe he had a broken or swollen toe. So that's all going to be found out by the exam as well as the x-rays. So thank you all for joining us today. Cheetah's fur, I always say it feels more like a horse than a cat. This is the time we get to groom them if they need grooming or help grooming. So they're just readjusting things to get the best x-ray possible. But I can't imagine, you know, we have to sometimes stop and reflect on where we were a few months ago. People would not have been able to fit around that table. People would not be able to watch the cats that they care for undergo a vet exam. There would not be room here to bring their crates into rescue bay. We actually have a second table that will be going where Judson is standing right now. That's a V-trough table that's heated, which is perfect for spays or any type of abdominal surgeries to keep an animal warm. So if you're just tuning in, we are the Wildcat Sanctuary in Sandstone, Minnesota. We do not buy, breed, trade, or sell animals. We are simply a rescue similar to a humane society where animals often are surplus, displaced, or privately owned. Luckily today we actually have a resident that we took in from the Species Survival Program retirement. And you know, the difference again there is when we agreed to take in this pair of cheetahs. They did thorough inspections on our place, interviews with veterinarians, made sure our safety protocol, the habitats were approved. So that was a really long process to be able to provide this cat a home, which is opposite of when we go to these unaccredited facilities or pseudo-accredited facilities, and they've just been overbreeding just for exhibit or for cub petting, especially overbreeding white tigers and hybrids and things like that. The standards are such different. So knowing the baseline of these cats, Cheetah Brothers, when they came in, is so helpful to our veterinary team. So you'll see a much different day today than you do when, like, we shared Luna the bobcat, whose teeth had all been cut off to try and make her a safe pet, or the horrible declaws we see on cats that are used for cub petting to try and make them safe for the public. So cheetahs in our country are heavily regulated and are not often found as pets, but the cheetah trade in pets overseas is huge. And so there's a lot of illegal wildlife trafficking of cheetahs cubs, taking cheetahs out of the wild. That is really a hardship. In the US, we want to get better to make sure that cheetahs that are in the Species Survival Program end up in qualified hands for the end of their life, even after they're retired. And so that's why we were able to step up and felt called to give these guys a retirement home. So we really appreciate everybody joining us today. We really appreciate everybody that's given to Miracle Match. Like I said, as we know, Miracle Match is a long 2 months. So whenever you can give, we appreciate it. No matter the amount you give, it adds up. We don't have donors that write $100,000 checks. We have wonderful, loyal people like you that give an amount that's meaningful to you when you can, and that keeps our doors open and our rescue going all the time and allowing us to say yes to the next animals in need. So we really, really appreciate all you do, and that's why we feel it's important to bring you some of these behind the scenes procedures of how your gifts help so much provide quality and individualized care to every cat we have here at the sanctuary. And feel free to share these posts. Sharing and asking people to donate when their gift is doubled is such a motivator and so important to spread the word about the work we do and spread the word that we need a world of no more wild pets. We need to stop the exploitation of cub petting and photo opportunities, and we need to stop the overbreeding of generic animals at private menageries, cub petting operations, etc. Take another little look. So you'll notice this is one cat that is not neutered at our facility. And because of their age, we chose not to neuter them, and it's two brothers living together. So of course we would never breed. We do not want more big cats in captivity. And so luckily these two brothers don't have any aggression towards each other, so we hadn't needed to neuter for that. They're really compatible and doing just wonderfully. So no news is good news. We're running everything in-house on these boys. They still have IBS, but they have a special diet for that, and the staff monitor their stool all the time. They're actually on probiotics as well. So thanks everyone for being part of the Vet Day today. There will not be a second live post with Judson today, since we took up most of your time with the Vet Days but we thought you would enjoy seeing Kitu and Lavani and their vet exams. And obviously we'll give you an update. Lavani is already awake and doing well. And I know Kitu will be joining him shortly. So thank you all so very much.